Hello everyone and welcome to this video which is in our Great Engine game series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and we're continuing our look at the games of Leela from the TCEC Swiss 7. Wasn't actually intended to just be Leela, but somehow Leela's been playing some really interesting games, so it just seems worthwhile to do it. This particular game, Leela was white against Halogen, and it started with a Slav. So let's have a look how it all went. So d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, d takes c4, a4, the good old-fashioned Slav, bishop f5, and now knight e5. And that's always been the most crucial way of dealing with black's plan of playing bishop f5. In principle, white's aiming for f3 and e4, which is going to set up a double pawn center whilst attacking the bishop on f5 at the same time. So it's a very ambitious plan. Back when I was professional, this piece sacrifice was very, very popular. I played it with both colours. Yeah, I didn't particularly like it really with black, I have to say. It was one of those strange positions where you felt that if white, played this well, black gets 3 pawns to the piece and the white king's a little bit open. But if white plays it well, then black could actually stand no chance. But it was also easy to go wrong as white and just suddenly black's doing okay. It was one of those weird positions somehow. But that was what was really popular. Back in the 1930s, after knight bd7, knight takes c4, queen c7 was what they were playing in all these Alekhine Erva World Championship matches, followed by e5. And actually that's pretty much the best line, I guess, just in modern times. Morozevich brought out some plenty of new ideas in that. However, after knight takes c4, the TC book was a little bit less friendly. That was knight d5. So what's the idea of knight d5? Well, I mean, you want to take this, maybe take this knight on c3, stop white from playing e2 to e4. Maybe the knight might even go round to b4, for example. But it's not hugely logical somehow. So white's got a very strong riposte, which is to go f3, simply to play e4. And obviously this is increasing in strength. And after e5, typical idea, just blasting things open. I mean, if d takes c5, you've got queen h4 check. Very common response when white's gone f3 there. But white simply plays the move e4. And I suppose kind of the biggest annoyance for black is that you can't play a move like e takes d4, which would kind of break up the white center, because white just plays e takes d5, and after d takes c3, he's got queen e2. And queen e7 is met by the intermezzo, knight d6. And then after king d8, we just take on e7 and then take on f5 with an extra piece. So black is actually forced to play, after e4, is forced to play the move knight takes c3. And then we've got b takes c3. And yeah, this is very nice recapture towards the center, just reinforcing those double pawn center. And on top of that, you've got an attack on the bishop to boot. So yeah, it feels pretty decent basically. Now black's got to do something about the attack on this e5 pawn as well. I mean, if you just went back to g6, I'd just take on e5 there. So black plays bishop e6, with the idea of being able to take on c4 if you go d takes c5. And I guess that after takes, you just take and probably go queen a5 and hit those 2 pawns. But what Halogen did here was play the move rook b1 in its game against Leela. And yeah, somehow Leela managed to survive with this and this. Looks a little bit, doesn't look absolutely amazing, but somehow after a5, Leela was able to get a square for its bishop and just get to some position where it sacrificed a pawn, but had chances to hold the ending, which it achieved. Actually, all of my engines, so that's Stockfish, Torch, and of course Leela in this game, they want something very aggressive in actual fact. And yeah, these are often slightly difficult plans to decide on as a human. Actually, what Halogen played does feel quite human from that point of view, because you've got this very nice double pawn center here. One very natural feeling is to try and hold it there, right? And it's strong, it's not particularly under attack, nicely reinforced by other pawns, so let's just leave it there and develop behind it. But what the engines understand is that actually just at this moment you've got a great chance to transform this double pawn center into a big dynamic advantage. But it's not obvious. It's not obvious that it's going to be absolutely good, and it takes a lot of risk for white as well. So always very difficult decisions to take without home analysis. So d5 played, takes, and bishop f5. So we're doing all this with gain of tempo, which is obviously something that when you're playing that should attract you. If you've got moves that are forcing that you can play with gain of tempo, then that's not bad at all. But the question is, what are you going to do with it? I mean, you've done it with gain of tempo, but if black is just able to absorb the attack, then that's not it's not really going to help. And of course, give black a move, he'll go bishop c5 and then castle, and actually probably maybe even stand better somehow. White doesn't have this double pawn edge anymore. But yeah, I mean, white's got some pretty just keeps on attacking basically, and it's just all very concrete, and but yeah, just very, very strong in actual fact. So knight e3, attacking this bishop on f5. Now if you just go back to g6, actually we're just going to play the move that that Leela played in the game anyway, and that's this move d6, and this turns out to be extremely unpleasant for black. Obviously, when you play the bishop to g6, you can't develop this bishop on this diagonal. You can't play g6 or anything like that. So actually this move d6 is stopping this bishop from developing, which is quite unpleasant, of course. You can't just move the knight away to attack it with the queen, because you'll have the move bishop b5, check. So what that actually means is that black's got some difficulties here in pardon me, in getting rid of this unpleasant pawn, and the fact that white can also reinforce it with bishop a3 and then is also threatening to come knight d5 into c7, that makes it just very, very unpleasant. I mean, when you see it on the board, you suddenly realize how annoying it is, but just from a distance, it's you maybe don't quite realize how dangerous it is. So queen g5 was actually the move that was played in the previous human game in this line, which was met by d6 with the idea of knight d5. And this, Stockfish and Torch generally preferred queen g5, and after rook c8, knight f5, queen f5, queen d5, then white just stands quite well here, basically. We actually just show you quickly, just kept on reaching this opposite coloured bishop ending position when this is it going to be a win for white, or is black going to be able to hold the draw? Who knows, but in any case, it's just a very unpleasant position. I mean, you can play bishop to b5, c4, and then move the pawn up to a6, for example. That's the first obvious thing that comes to mind. So it's going to be very unpleasant. But as always, Stockfish managed to draw some against Torch. Torch managed to draw, even win a game pair just from the start against Stockfish. So, it's possible maybe still just to defend that way. Obviously, the nice thing about playing the queen to g5 or to f6 to protect the bishop is that you've still got the possibility of playing g6 and bishop g7 maybe. But Halogen played queen f6, and Torch played this a couple of times as well. It mainly preferred queen g5, but it also tried queen f6. Quite striking. Dragon used to do this as well. That you often got a couple of different moves from Dragon in these positions, whereas Stockfish normally quite rigid. It seems to have decided on a move, and it will play it all the time, every single time after that. So d6 played, and the tactical point of that is bishop takes d6. I've got knight takes f5, and the bishop would be hanging if you recaptured it. So bishop e6 played by the engines. They want to keep control of this d5 square, and obviously also want to give themselves maybe the chance to develop like that. So bishop e2 was played by Leela. Stockfish only wanted bishop b5, which again is completely fine. Yeah, I mean bishop on e2, bishop on b5. You're still going to just play bishop a3 to defend the pawn. Castles, bishop a3, queen f4, queen e2 was what happened. E4 castles, obviously looked very strong for white there. Leela preferred bishop e2, and that's also just a very good move. You've got bishop a3 in reserve, and you're just preparing to castle kingside. So here Halo played castle queenside. Stockfish did try g6 once, castles bishop g7. Knight d5 takes, bishop e3, and Leela was claiming a big advantage. I mean, past d pawn, queenside's under a lot of pressure. And, you're going to start advancing these guys, basically. It's, quite unpleasant, basically, torch beat Stockfish comfortably from this. But, yeah, a decent idea. At least the king looks a bit safer than when you castle queenside, like Halo did. Bishop a3 played to protect the pawn on d6, also stop knight c5 as well. And here Halo started, trying to make stuff happen, basically. If white just castles and plays knight d5, you're just going to be completely lost. The king's not going to survive an attack on the light squares on the queen side. So Halo played queen g5, king f2, and knight f6. And what you're going to see is that Halo is just going to be one move too late, basically. If it just had an extra tempo, black would probably be winning. But as it is, it's just going to be close, but no cigar. So c4 played by Leela. Want to play c5 just to reinforce this pawn. And now a couple of ideas. Here Halo played bishop d6, led to a very forcing line. Actually, after 15 castles, after you forced, I think, Stockfish to play 15 castles, the game Torch Stockfish that I was playing, it followed Leela-Halo up till move 35 or something. So yeah, you can see how forcing this line is. Queen f4 is another idea. With the idea after c5 that you go knight e4 check. And yeah, this is the question. Can you get anything from this? Well, white goes king f1, you go queen e3, takes on e4, queen e4. And now a couple of different possibilities. A5 is one possibility, and you're looking for a6. Queen d2 was another move that Stockfish played. The amazing thing is that, in these lines, white's not worried at all about exchanging off queens. The key thing is here really that king f1 also taking his time there. But the key thing is that, these pawns obviously making it very hard for black to develop the king side. And there's also the other big part to white's play is the queenside counterplay. The fact that white's going to just invade down the b file and then attack on the 8th, it's just all too much for black somehow. But again, not 100% obvious. I had to play through those games a couple of times, thinking, I guess it is so. Guess it is as clear as that. But just from your eyes, sometimes you need a bit of time to believe it. Bishop d6 would certainly come as a shock in a human game, and it's a similar idea again, but this time instead of allowing white to reinforce the d6 pawn with c5, you're sacrificing first and playing queen f4, and you've got a threat of rook takes d6, queen d6, knight e4 check. So after g3, knight e4 check, white's got to be very careful here. 4 possible king moves, and there's only one that's even decent. King g2 looks natural, right? Queen e3 takes. But then black's got the very unpleasant rook takes d6, which is basically winning. If queen d6, we go queen takes e2. So white actually has to play the very awkward-looking move king e1. But black, obviously, the queen is hanging, the knight is hanging. So black's just got not enough time to do anything. If you go queen e3, I just take back on e4, queen e4, rook f1. And if bishop c4, I've got this move rook c1. It's a little bit tight because black goes rook takes d6 here with the idea of queen d6, queen e2 check. But we go rook takes c4, takes. Oh, sorry. Queen takes c4, queen d6, sorry, that's the one. Queen takes d6, which is quite nasty. Yeah, I mean, if you were to do this, then well, black's got 3 pawns. Yeah, 3 pawns for the piece wouldn't be so bad actually, but with queen takes d6, you keep the queens on, and of course the black king is absolutely horrific there. So black manages to exchange off queens, but now you've got a weak pawn to attack, and that makes a big difference in the endgame. 2 pawns is not going to cut it. I do wonder whether that would have been better drawing chances though than what Halo did, but what Halo did was very exciting. Took on g3, h takes g3, queen g3, and now bishop h3 check. Rook h3, queen h3. So white's got 3 pieces for the rook, which is obviously, massive material advantage, but yeah, there's a lot of loose pieces around. Here queen h6 attacks d6 and e3. So Leela has to give one back. Knight f5 takes there, but now gets the chance to reinforce with c5. I think Torch played queen d5, which is also very strong indeed. Actually, I think queen d5, actually after queen d5, Stockfish played takes, rook d6. So yeah, that also had an immediate effect. Leela going for even more with c5, just clamping that bishop down on the d6 square, and it's just very difficult for black. I mean, 3 pawns indeed for the 2 bishops, but a king that's really caught, and plenty of opportunities to attack in the near future. So the game was quite spectacular actually. Leela was quite relaxed with its king here. Just escaping this bishop on d6, of course, is just a massive barrier here. No way you're getting past that. Rook e8, rook d1, queen e6, king c4, just ready to recapture with the king. When black takes on d5, e4, f4. That's just a very good general move, really. Just keeping open lines closed. Making it hard for the black rooks to activate themselves. And after g6, and this was as far as Torch followed the game. Torch played the move a5 in this position, very logical to go a6. Leela played rook b1, e3, and then a5, so it's pretty much the same thing. Queen e4 check, forcing the exchange of queens, but now king d5. King's beautifully solid like this, bishop also, of course, restricting the black king, and we're now threatening to go a6 here. So rook f4 exploits the pin, but now a6. Rook f5, king c4, and it's really, really dangerous. If you go b takes a6, I go bishop g4 even, and pin you here as well. And there's just not very much that you can do here, And even if you've got loads of pawns for the bishop in the end, they're all split and rubbish basically, So and white's got a very strong pass pawn here as well. So it's all totally hopeless. Halo played b5 check. Leela ignored it for a little while, decided to have a pin. Halo gives away a pawn. Leela decided it didn't need it. Bishop f1 played, a little trap there, because if bishop g4, there's rook f4 check. Haha, cunning. But bishop f1 played, and then followed up with bishop h3. There we are. Takes, rook h5, rook b3. Just a little bit of care required there, but it is basically a very, very easy win. And Leela made no mistakes. Rook takes f4, rook e4 check, d7, and queen ensued, and a win. So there we are. This wasn't a smooth positional game like Leela's 2 previous games. This was in a way it's similar to Obsidian. It's one where you sort of choose how to make use of your dynamics, really. And we've got these static advantages, here a double pawn center. Against Obsidian, it could have just been the 2 bishops. But Leela, again, choosing to break up its, nice looking pawn structure for some dynamics. This is quite a stretch position. It looks, you could say, ugly, full of holes. But yeah, the dynamics are so good, and Leela judged correctly that that this was possible. And the tactics are quite fraught, quite would be quite shocking, I think, to know how far into this game Leela saw when it played the move d5. Probably very, very far indeed, because the lines seem to be, for engines at least, the lines seem to be quite forcing. But yeah, these are difficult decisions for humans, you know, to choose to destroy something that looks nice and beautiful and logical and turn it into something ugly, but with dynamics somehow, you know. And well, yeah, a good lesson there from Leela, and hopefully I'll learn something from it, and hopefully you will too as well. So there we are. Hope you're enjoying these Leela games. I'm sort of throwing them in between the classic stuff, and I've got some other interesting stuff to come as well. All sorts of different topics at the moment. So whatever catches my fancy whilst I'm reading books or watching chess, as I'm doing a lot of with the Olympiad at the moment. So do stay tuned. If you like the videos, give a like, subscribe to the channel, take a look at my new books. And otherwise, thanks for watching, and hope to see you at the next videos. Thanks for watching.